What's up, everybody, and welcome to Body Activations Explorations, Shoulder, Ab, and Adduction with shoulder external rotation. So this is when the arm is turned out. You know the journaling exercise by now. Make sure that you write down exactly how you feel, what you feel in your body, and get specific with it. Be accurate with it. And then also, how does how you feel affect how you move? We're going to do 6 to 12 times on each side. Make sure that all the positions are pain-free with zero cramping and that the pace is controlled, about 3 seconds up and 3 seconds down. We're going to end up in a position that feels the best with a motion that is the most difficult to control. When we find this position, we're going to build an exercise around it because that's exactly what needs our attention and what needs practice. So when we start out in the standing position, Brandon is going to go through those rotations to see how the shoulder is feeling as he's just spinning it out. And after he's finished spinning it out, he's going to then take the arm up towards the ear through the side of the body. So if there was a line going right through the middle of the body, from the side of it, you'd be tracing that line from the ear right to your hip. And he's going a little fast. He knows he's pretty confident with that shoulder being okay. But if you've had any shoulder problems before or you've used your shoulder a lot, take your time with this one, as if you could stop at any single point of the range, because what we're going to do is we're going to compare one side to the other eventually. And there's the spinning of the opposite arm and him going from hip to ear. He stops a little bit short because he feels that that's a secure position for that arm as he turns it out. And sometimes you run out of real estate as well. The arm only has so much room to actually move safely. You can do this in front of a mirror if you want to see if one side is similar to the other. You can even pause the video and check them out. You do one side a couple times and the other side a couple times if you really want to see and you're having trouble noticing a difference. And we're going to do the same thing in a seated position. Brandon's just spinning that arm out beforehand, and he's starting with the right side first. So you notice a huge difference in his arm position for the seated orientation. So when he brings his arm down, it wants to swoop forward a little bit, but then he's able to get up a lot higher in this position, but his arm also wants to come forward a little bit. So see if both sides are doing that same thing or if it's pretty much just the right side. If he felt any type of pinching or popping or whatnot, he would write that down in his journal as he's going through this as well, because each one of those audible noises or those feelings that you're associating with it, the whole point is to make sure that it feels safe and controlled. And even if there is no pain with the popping or it feels a little bit tight, it may lead to problems the next day in recovery. So make sure that, do your best to make sure that you are aware of at what position it starts to pop or you have difficulty in controlling it, and take note of it so you can see if it changes. This is all about baselines. We're developing that baseline so when we go through this eventually in the future, you can see how it changed or if it changed at all. Now he's going to go into a sideline position to work that opposite arm. He supports his head with that left arm. You can use a pillow in this. You can go off of the ground or you can use your bed for stability. That's whatever's the most comfortable. The whole point, again, is to see how one side is moving compared to the other. He's moving through the side of the body. And just notice if changing the orientation, like the difference between when Brandon was standing versus seated, he gets even more motion when he's laying on his side. It's like his body just says, this is way more safe. I feel confident going through this position, and I'm going to allow more range. And he didn't even need to stretch. It was all about feeling secure through his motion. He prefaces his motion with seeing how that arm rotates out, and you can tell that his hand actually changes the amount of rotation as he goes by his side. You can see the difference, how that hand wants to lose a little bit of rotation by his side. That's completely natural. You're just going to see how that happens or if that happens for you, and that could be your normal. This may be Brandon's normal. the whole point, again, is to make sure you find out what normal is so that we have a baseline to judge that against for your new normal in the future for explorations. Now, as he's finishing up with that left side, he's going to spin out that right hand as well. A lot of people just spin at the wrist. I want you to focus on spinning all the way from the shoulder itself. And as you're moving the arm towards the ear and then back towards the hip, try to maintain that rotated out position as you're doing it. It can be quite challenging in this laying down on your back position and laying on your stomach. Sometimes the side lying positions offer some relief, but then once you get overhead, it can be tough to control, especially if you were a throwing athlete at one time, or you're working in a factory and you used your arms a lot and did overhead work, or if you've ever had any type of shoulder surgery or shoulder damage. This is a great opportunity to slow things down, see how it works, and then see how you control it. So as Brandon's finishing up with his overhead movement from his back, we're going to go to the side and we're going to get that opposite side done. And again, you can use that pillow to support the neck. You spin the hand out, and as he's reaching up overhead, he's got even more range of motion than when he was seated and he was standing with that left side as well. Just have the best control. You can feel it in the shoulders. Sometimes you can feel it in the chest and the obliques as well as you're bringing it overhead or the side of the body. Just make sure that neck feels okay. It feels supported. Again, you can stop at any single point of the range. You may need to do 1. You may need to do 12 just to pinpoint, like, how does it feel, how is it moving, and then jot down how it compares to the other positions. And we're going to finish up with moving on your stomach. I'm going to spin that right side in and out, and from that rotated out position, he's going to slide it forward and back. And this can be a really challenging one because if you're off the edge of a bed, you got to hold the whole arm up. So this may be better to slide the hand along the bed or be on the ground. If you can tolerate being on your stomach on the ground, slide it forward and slide it back. If you choose to have it off the edge of the bed, notice if you can keep it like parallel with that surface of the bed, or does it tend to fall down and it's hard to keep up. So this can be quite challenging for all of the back of the shoulder muscles or those scapular muscles. So take the time to have the control so that you can stay safe, and then focus on how that relates to the rest of those positions and the motions that you're controlling, so that we can then pinpoint that position that felt the best with the motion that was really difficult to control. That's the end focus of what we're doing here, building up that context, building up the safety of the motion. And then again, you don't have to do all 12. You can do 5, you can do 6. When you're finished, you're finished. And then we go right back to that journaling exercise to compare the very beginning to now. So how do you feel right now compared to when you started? Get specific with it. And then how does how you feel affect how you move now? How's it changed? Now that you've identified the position that felt the safest with the motion that was the most difficult to control, let's build that exercise.